nastiest thing to say, right? So I don't know say about that. Well, anyway, never mind about that. Our daily life, what kind of life are we living? One necessary condition for happy life, not only in this life, but eternal life. I mean, in Buddhism, they believe reincarnations. And if you don't have the mind which can free oneself from adverse conditions and so on, then you will be enslaved to the environments and conditions and so on, and you have no freedom. Sometimes, according to the Buddha's teaching, some people are born in a bad places. Sometimes there's Korean cows, and the Korean dogs, not American dogs. American dogs are very nice, they are treated very well. They live together in the house. But in Korea, they don't do it. Even though these days they have some westernized dogs too, but very expensive one. Well, sounds funny, but according to the Buddha, that's the truth. So what do you have to do? You have to find a way to be free from the cycle of birth and death. Okay? On the one hand. And if you haven't attained the spiritual power, freedom of mind, you cannot but be followed. I mean, you cannot but follow the law of karma, and you will sometimes regret only after you have done something and you can't do anything about it. So what we are doing is this: how can we free ourselves from all those impediments and the difficulties and so on? One way I told you is last time. What was it?
The light of wisdom.
Or bayonet. Bayonet of private wisdom. I just said in Korean, sometimes we have, big enemy in my mind, right? Ugly monster. What is that? Hatred. Like hopelessness sometimes. Something which is undesirable but is there, bugging you, bothering you, day and night sometimes. Sometimes years. For older people, many people have at least one something they never forget, and bothers the people. Those are the enemies. Some of them carry 5 stars, that. 5 whole years, 5 stars, and you have no power to knock them down. The Buddha taught, yes, you have a weapon. That is the bayonet of wisdom. Bayonet of wisdom. What is the essence of the bayonet of the wisdom? That's emptiness. That's the emptiness. What does that mean? An enlightenment to the ultimate reality, ultimate essence of all things in the universe. What is the ultimate essence?
Emptiness.
What does the empty mean?
That in the end, ultimately, things are the same. That they don't really matter in the long run.
Okay, that's good. But real meaning is that nothing has its own inherent existence. I told you, like a borrowed money. If you have $1 million in the bank, is it yours or not? It's not yours. And so just like that, nothing, because according to the Buddha, everything comes into being in accordance with the laws of dependent origination, or conditioned origination. Look at the grain of wheat. If left alone on a piece of rock, it will never shoot its root or the stem, right? But when it meets soil, water, heat, sunlight, it grows, right? But remember, there's a stem. of a wheat plant, does it have its own inherent or ultimate essence in it? No. Because it is there, because it borrowed from something else. Sunlight, earth, and so on. Everything in the universe follows this law, called in Sanskrit called pratitya samutpada. In Sanskrit, dependent originations. Therefore, nothing has its own inherent existence. How about our mind? Our mind too. It's a good thing that our mind, hatred, love, whatever, those feelings are also ultimately empty of their own essence. It would be awful if the anger has its own essence and it stays in your mind all the time. Then what? It's a tough luck on us, right? Fortunately, they are like echoes. They are like bubbles. They are like shadows.
So we're all seeds.
It comes from our mind, all those. Yeah. According to Yogacara Buddhism, we have eighth consciousness, called alaya vijnana in eighth consciousness. All those seeds from even previous life are stored there. And what does that mean? You have a small chip, computer chip, real small one. How many millions of informations can you store there? Just like that, according to this theory, from the point of this contemporary science, someday they will explain what the Yogacara Buddhism taught about the alaya vijnana, stores consciousness. If you look at a small flea, it can jump 300 times of its height. How is that possible? In the small, there must be a brain. Isn't that correct? In the brain. I mean, how small could it be? Really small. But it has that wonderful power of jumping and also biting you. Have you been bitten by a flea? Oh, when I was in Korea, a lot of times. It's so awful because it jumps so fast that it's harder to. It's different from Laos. It's lice is slow, but this flea, jumps so fast that it cannot. In the small flea in the brain, like a computer chip, okay, all programmed. In our consciousness, our mind, all things are stored. Personality, we talk personality, right? The person has a bad personality. What does that mean? From that person's actions, they form the habit. What is habit? It's something stored in your brain. Neurons, electrons eventually, something in a certain pattern. And then when that person is put in certain situation, then that person reacts according to what is programmed. Like what? If somebody makes you angry, then what? You explode into anger, right? Give a punch or something. That's the personal. What we are trying to introduce is this. This can be changed. So Master Chung says, in the past, in the older times, even plants like a rice, wheat, or the very poor, what is called crop. But science somehow make an improvement on them. These days, what is called improved crops. It's great, okay? Human mind too. In a new world, we have to reform our mind. First step, learn how to keep your mind from all those unwholesome thoughts and so on. But you see, it is not done so easily. Like what? Suppose you try, okay, I'm not going to get angry, even if somebody makes angry, and put yourself in a situation where somebody is irritating you, nagging you, behaving very bad, then see your power of patience, your spiritual power, see. Then you can see where you are. Karate, taekwondo, somebody said taekwondo. You have a white belt. What is the purple belt, yellow belt, right? And eventually what do you have? Black belt. In this business of Buddhist practice, we need a black belt. And I told you one weapon. What was that again?
The bayonet.
Bayonet of wisdom. And what is the essence of the bayonet of wisdom? Emptiness. Shunyata in Sanskrit. Shunyata. Why? Shunyata works what? Shunyata, emptiness works wonders in daily life. Don't forget that. Shunyata works wonders. Like what? In certain situation, you cannot stand it, and you have to do something. Either you draw your gun or something, right? There are millions of situations like that out there, like hidden, what is called mines, right? If you are unfortunate, what do? You step on it. You are killed. So, as the psychologists agree that the most difficult emotion is anger. You have been patient for 99 times so far. Very good. But if you fail to be patient at the 100th time, you see whatever you have done. You have to start all over again. So the point here, I'm going to, so today I'm not very well organized. I was going to say about the method of improving our mind. The first one, Master Chung says that first is you should be able to keep your mind as broad as empty sky. Broad, not narrow-minded. Okay? Narrow. And if you cannot have the mind broad unless the mind is empty. If something is bothering you all the time, day and night, your mind is not broad, it is limited. Your mind is completely occupied by that little thing, small thing. Your mind is very small. You should be free from all those annoying things, grudges, resentment, hatred, and so on. Why? If you cannot free yourself from those states of mind, you are living in a hell. Next Sunday, I'm going to talk about the second characteristic of an improved mind. That is, your mind should be as bright as sun and moon, where we talk about wisdom again. And Sunday after next, I'm going to talk about a mind which is as leisurely, as flowing water. If you go to the river, the water flows, it's leisurely, right? We should have those three characteristics of our mind. I'll give you one example. The first one today, there's a Zen master in Korea who used to practice Zen meditation under a pine tree. And in like May or June, they have the pine cone. Before that, they have a flower. And then there's a pine. And then when it's the time, then there's a lot of powder. A lot of powder. Imagine a huge pine tree, and there are hundreds of those, or even thousands of those pine flowers. The flowers, the dust come down when he was meditating. And whenever he meditated, he was irritated. He has been practicing Zen throughout his life. But he was not free from this irritation. Irritation, I don't know whether it is the better word, irritation. 짜증난다. Irritation. And when he died, he couldn't have one mind, concentrated one mind, he could not have that, which is absolutely necessary for going to the next life with no harm.